Hi, good people. Welcome back to Marianali's channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are in the right place. I'm happy to have you around here. And today I have a very interesting topic for you. And that topic is none other than how to tell that you are under religious manipulation. So I'll start with that word, religious manipulation. What is religious manipulation? Religious manipulation is whereby, leaders or leaders use religious teachings to do what? To control and even harm people. So whenever the religious teachings are there to control and harm people, then we refer to that as religious manipulation. And as you can see from the definition, that's not a positive thing. When religion is being used to manipulate people in a way that it's going to control them and harm them, then that is not a good thing. Then that is religious manipulation. So just before I go to how you can tell that you are under the manipulation of religion, I just want to put this out there that I am very well connected with God. I love God and I know He's the center of my life. And I love to worship. I love to go to worship places. But we ought to know the difference between just the leaders that take us in the right path, whereby we know that they are making it easy for us to connect with God, and those that are using the same religion to manipulate you into something that is not right, or making yourself to end up being harmed. Okay? Yeah, so let it just be out there. So how can you tell that you're being manipulated by religion? There are so many ways to know this. One, if the place you're worshiping from, your leader is instructing you to not go to hospital whenever you are sick because they believe in miracles and they believe that if you believe in God, you're going to get healed. I know that through going to the hospital, you'll be given treatment. These are the same people, the doctors are the same people that God created and gave the wisdom to have you get the right medicine so that now God through them can help you heal. So if they tell you not to go to if they tell you not to go to the hospital when you're sick because you have to believe in miracles or something of that sort, then that is religious manipulation. I'm sure you've heard about people who have died just because they did not want to go to the hospital, and it's their leader, their religious leader, that instructed them to just believe in miracles and not go to the hospital. So that is religious manipulation. Also, using religion to force someone, to stay in an abusive relationship. Okay? When religion is being used to coerce someone to stay in an abusive relationship, then that is wrong. An example is, let's say there's a partner is physically abusing the other, and whenever they go to their religious leader, they are being told, you need to stay submissive. You need to stay submissive. You need to ask for forgiveness because it is you who is the cause of all this. Then that is religious manipulation, and it can lead to this person even being dead from physical abuse. So it's not a good thing. Okay? Then financial exploitation. I know many of you can agree with me on this. Financial manipulation. Some leaders have gone to the extent of using their powers in the wrong way, whereby you have to be exploited, or they go into the extent of exploiting their congregation financially, okay, in exchange for them to be given or to have miracles performed on them. To me, I feel that is religious manipulation, okay, whereby one person is, or a group of people are being manipulated financially by specific religious leaders. That is not cool. If I can understand what the Bible really talks about finances. I think one part that I know where the Bible talks about finances is whereby it clearly says you have to give your tithe. That one I know. Okay, so away from that, whereby now religious leaders start making it as a business. Okay, exploiting their congregation financially, then that is religious manipulation. Stay on the lookout. Be on the lookout to differentiate between just some genuine financial concern in your specific place of worship and not to end up being exploited financially. I mean, we've even had people giving away all their riches, all their investments to the place of worship or to the religious leader because they believe that he has superior powers, and they even end up living in the streets because they gave everything to a specific, religious leader. That is not cool at all. So that is financial exploitation, and it's a sign of you being manipulated by religion. Okay, then if you are in that worship place and your religious leader tells you to deprive yourself of meals for a very long period of time, let's say like tells you to deprive yourself of meals for like 3 months, 2 months, now that is, red flag. That is something that should tell you that you are under the influence of religious manipulation. Okay, sometimes it's good to use common sense. Okay, just use, a little bit of your common sense. I mean, our body requires food, so even if you're told that you're supposed to fast, I don't think it should go beyond a limited time that your body cannot take anymore. Okay, and this is something that has been happening over and over in the world. You find that a religious leader has been arrested simply because he gave wrong advice to the congregation and ended up making them die because of making them believe that they need to be deprived of meals. Yeah, and these people end up being dead, and now he becomes a murderer. So if you hear your religious leader talking about going for a very long period of time, more than a month, without food, without anything at all in your body, just know that that religious leader is trying to sign you off this world. Okay, yeah, so that is religious manipulation. And then another sign of religious manipulation is whereby we are not perfect. In one way or another, we will go off the teachings. Okay, and I think that is the specific reason even why Jesus came to this world. He didn't come for the perfect. He came for the sinners. And I can't remember anywhere in the Bible, unless someone shows me, whereby Jesus discriminated or isolated the sinners. In fact, one of the things that made him to be more criticized by the Pharisees and the scribes was the fact that Jesus spent most of his time with sinners. I mean, look at even the adulterous woman who was at the verge of being stoned. What happened in that instance? He asked the religious leaders, like, who among you has not sinned to cast a stone? None did. Okay, I mean, there are so many examples of how Jesus used to just mingle. Mingle is the right word. Like, he used to interact with the so-called sinners at that time. Okay, so when you find yourself being isolated because you did something wrong in this specific place of worship, then that is a perfect example of religious manipulation. Okay, so they are isolating you because they want you to behave in a specific manner according to how they are telling you should behave, or according to the culture of that place of worship. And this isolating you, I think, to them is supposed to teach you a lesson so that you can accept whatever they are giving you. Okay, so when it comes to a place whereby you are being isolated because you did something wrong in that place of worship, then that is religious manipulation. This thing even affects families. You find a sibling being isolated from the church, from the family itself. They never, they never even have a relationship with the family anymore. Why? Because they are acting differently from what the place of worship requires them to act. And you'll find that it's maybe something to do with church culture clashing with how this specific person is behaving, or something of that sort. So being isolated because you did something wrong is a sign of the fact that you are being manipulated by religion. Okay, then performing excessive religious rituals. Performing excessive religious rituals is a sign of being manipulated religiously. Let me give you one example. Um, I don't know if I'll be in trouble if I say this. Like like making people dress in sort of sacks, okay? Making your congregation dress in sacks while you yourself as their religious leaders is dressed in clothes. Just because you feel like you have a belief that when they dress in sacks, it means like they are not into the worldly things. So it is a sign to show that they are not into the worldly things, so they need to dress in sacks. You know, that is excessive religious rituals, okay? Another excessive religious rituals could be telling people to, how can I put this? Telling people maybe to not mingle with some other people of the world. Just if they want a social life, they look for the fellow members of that specific place of worship and not to mingle with people outside that place of worship, simply because if they do that, they are going to be influenced, they are going to be pulled into sin and what have you. That is an excess religious ritual and it's not healthy. So that is religious manipulation. Okay, and then having very unshakable belief in false information. Okay, that is also a sign that someone is under religious manipulation. One example is the year 2000, when most Christians sold their belongings, their earthly belongings, just because they were being told that the world is ending. Okay, so I don't know, I can't remember which religious leader was this, but that was false information that the people that were worshiping under that place really believed it, and they had unshakable belief in that information. So people ended up losing their properties, selling everything they had, because they knew that in a week's time the world is gonna end. That was, I think, in 2000, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So that is one way to know that you are under religious manipulation. Also, if you're this person, whenever there's some topics to do with religion, you become very extremely emotional and you have very extreme emotional responses towards religious topics, then just know you're being manipulated. You are under manipulation, okay? So, you know, if you have these very extreme emotional responses whenever there's religious topics, you don't want, like, you're fixated, like no one, like you can't hear anyone, you're just fixated on that one thing and nothing anyone says matters to you, then you are under pure religious manipulation, okay? Yeah. And then if this religion is being used as an excuse to start war, if you are in a religion that supports war and it's being used as an excuse to start war, then you are being religiously manipulated. We've seen that even with groups that pretend to be doing it in form of a religion belief, and yet they are criminals. It happens a lot. So if you are being manipulated into getting into war because of some religious beliefs surrounding that, and you started that war over people who are being peaceful, then you are under religious manipulation, and that is so wrong, and that is so wrong. And I just want to believe that sometimes even these religious leaders that are using religion in the wrong way will tell their congregation to do things that themselves want to do, and it is just so sad, okay? So if you injure people physically, you end up injuring people physically, and then you end up telling people, even, you know, like I had someone say, okay, this is something that I had, that there's this specific place of worship where this man had done something that was wrong according to that place of worship, according to their teachings, okay? So this man was summoned, and this man was thoroughly beaten, physically thoroughly beaten. Okay, so he was thoroughly beaten, and in beating him, they were saying that they're trying to exhaust is it to exhaust or to do, like to remove demons from him, because as they beat him, this is the demons that are coming out. And you know what happened after that? This man was sent to ICU because I don't know if they were doing it with passion or they really went overboard, and this person ended up getting injured physically that landed him in ICU. And their excuse was the fact that they were trying to remove demons from him by beating him up. Okay, so that is a big show that this person was under religious manipulation. This is something that should never happen at all. And the funniest part of it is that literally this religious leader will even quote and say, even Jesus beat some people in the temple that was, I don't know, doing business and this and that, you see. So sometimes also you need to use your own intelligence when you go to these places of worship. You need to read your own Bible, okay? Read your own Bible. I'm sure God can guide you into understanding it. Us going, or you going into a place of worship, is just to have that common thing with others, where you worship together and you speak the same language, wanting God to be in your presence, which is a very good thing, because I always also do that. But if it comes to an extent whereby you are inflicting pain in someone else's life that is physical, and you tend to wrongly quote verses, like for me, I'm a Christian, that is why I keep talking about the Bible, and you keep on quoting verses that you literally understood and did not have a discernment or a deeper, understanding of that verse, then you are manipulating people religiously, and that person is being also manipulated religiously. And then lastly, there are religious leaders that will tell their congregation not to socialize or not to mingle with people of the outside world, because they feel like those people from the outside world are sinners and they'll influence them into sin and so on and so forth. I just want to remind such people that the same the same religion, in the same religion you are having, we had uh, a son of God who was Jesus, and he used to mingle with the sinners, and his main aim was to bring these sinners closer to him. Okay, so you can emulate that. Instead of telling your congregation not to socialize or not to have a social life with the people of the world, as you say so, I think it will be better if you train your own people to go out there and fish them, okay, into getting closer to God, okay? Yeah, so if you are in such a place whereby you are not allowed to socialize with any other person in the world apart from those who go to that place of worship that you go to, then that is a red flag to show you that you are being religiously manipulated, okay? Yeah, so those are the few pointers to note when you want to know if you are being religiously manipulated. Let me tell you, religious manipulation does not care if you have a PhD or not, if you have a degree or not. Okay, it happens to anyone, and when you're being manipulated, you will never know about it. Okay, the only story I know of someone who was manipulated religiously is someone that is someone that was well educated, and he was even in the law. Okay, he ended up killing his kids, killing his wife, and writing all his investments and properties, and leaving them and writing them under the name of the religious leader at that time. And the religious leader ended up taking all the properties, because now it was under under her name. Okay, and now you can see a family that was wiped out because of religious manipulation. It is not a good thing. So be on the watch, and be on the watch so that you don't find yourself in some cult, thinking that you are a religious person. Just be very careful. There's always a thin line. You might think you're doing the right thing, but you are putting your life in real danger. Okay, yeah, so that is it. And as I sign off from this video, I want to leave you with a word to ponder on. And the word to ponder on today is that if it doesn't feel good in the first place, don't wait for the second time. to make a decision. If that's something that you are in, you are participating in, you're about to do, or you did, is not feeling good in the first place when you did it or when you are there, then don't wait for the second time to make a decision. You have to make a decision right there and now. And that's food for thought, okay? Yeah, so for that, I want to say have a very good time in whichever part of the world that you're in, and thank you for listening to me. And that's a bye. Bye, guys.